Everybody, good afternoon.
Hi, Akshay. So, Akshay is the co founder and CEO of global expansion Shiprocket. Akshay completed his graduation from Wharton Business School at the University of Pennsylvania with a BSc in economics. He then went on to pursue his MBA from the prestigious Harvard Business School. One of his primary roles is to make Shiprocket the most reliable and trustworthy logistics and fulfillment platform for e-commerce sellers. So I would leave the stage to Akshay now.
Thank you, Siddharth, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, White Page International, for inviting me to speak to the audience today. The topic I'm going to talk about today is the rise of direct-to-consumer commerce in India, and it's a very relevant topic in today's day and age. In the last 18 months, what we've seen with the pandemic is more and more people shopping online. And that has led to this whole growth of a new segment of brands in the country who traditionally might not have seen such a fast adoption by consumers. But given that there were more people shopping online, these brands got a lot more visibility than the traditional FMCG players, for example, who sell in most offline markets. And a lot of the newer brands can't really compete for shelf space. But when you go on the internet, it's very democratic, and everyone's on an equal or a level playing field. And that is what has really helped a lot of direct to consumer brands grow in India in the last 12 to 18 months. I have a short presentation that I'll walk through, and I'll just talk about what it means for entrepreneurship in India. I think that's the most exciting part. I think the two elements that I really wanted to cover is, one, today you can be an entrepreneur and build your own brand sitting from your home, which was not really possible 5 years ago in India. And number two, I think it's what is really exciting as a consumer in India is to have so many options available. Like if you want to buy a shampoo or a soap, there may have been 8, 10 big brands that were available 10, 12 years ago in India in most of the supermarkets. But today you probably have hundreds of brands online. So as a consumer, you've never had it so good. Everyone wants to compete for a share of our wallet, and that's exciting. So before I do that, let me just quickly share my screen. Brilliant. I hope everyone can see my screen. And yes, I represent a company called Shiprocket. I'm one of the co-founders. We're the largest logistics platform in India. And essentially what we do is we provide a back-end platform for direct-to-consumer brands, for social sellers, for anyone who's selling online, basically, to be able to run their business. Everything from the fulfillment, the warehousing, to the actual shipping to the end consumer, to maintaining the customer experience. That's what Shiprocket does. I'm not going to make this a promotional pitch, so I'm going to keep that brief. And what I'm going to talk to you guys today about is, like I said, the rise of direct-to-consumer commerce, and I'll also touch upon the impact it's having on traditional supply chains. So very quickly, I think we all know that India is one of the fastest growing e-commerce markets in the world. This is data from 2019. We were only second in place behind Mexico, but the growth has only increased even more rapidly in the last couple of years, because this is pre-pandemic data, but even post the pandemic, I think the Indian ecosystem of online shoppers has grown very, very rapidly. We're still, one of the things I'd like to draw your attention to is the bottom right-hand corner, which says that we're still at 4% e-commerce penetration. That might have increased a percent or two in the last 18 months, but we're still very low when it comes to e-commerce penetration. So the size of the market and the potential growth ahead of us is absolutely huge. And this is data that I have from 2014, projecting all the way till 2027, where we believe that e-commerce in India is going to be a $200 billion market by 2027, and 35% of that is actually going to be direct-to-consumer commerce. If you go way back into the slide on the left with 2014-15, there was hardly any direct-to-consumer or social commerce in India, and e-commerce at that point was dominated primarily by the B2C marketplaces, the Amazons, Flipkart, Snapdeals of the world. Most people got used to buying online first by buying on one of these marketplaces, and that really led the online and the e-commerce revolution in India. But what we're seeing in the last 18 to 24 months is that a lot more people are preferring to buy from brands directly, because when you go to a large shopping platform, then again, the individual identity of the brand is not there. So while people may discover a brand on a large shopping platform, once they become a loyal consumer, they actually like buying from the brand because they identify with it and they identify with the products that they want to sell. So so direct to consumer commerce or selling through websites or social media is actually a very important part of any brand strategy today to be able to grow their business. And again, some of the numbers that I spoke to you guys about earlier, we expect e-commerce to be about 200 billion plus by 2026. There'll be 100. There are already 100 million plus online shoppers in India as of FY20. D2C brands have raised almost 2 billion in funding since 2014, and that's remarkable given that we've really just seen the growth in the last 18 to 24 months for this sector. 16 D2C brands have gotten acquired as of April 2021, and you've seen some really interesting acquisitions from the likes of Marico, from the likes of some of the larger FMCG players, like the Tata Group, and what it's showing is that a lot of these brands, which might start off being niche brands online, are definitely getting more mass market adoption. As of last count, and this is an approximate number, we have about 800 plus D2C brands in India, and Lenskart is the D2C brand with the highest funding that's been built over the last 4 to 5 years. When we talk about categories as well, fashion is one of the largest categories for direct to consumer. FMCG is a huge category as well. Especially, I would talk about beauty and healthcare because Sadaf spoke about it at the beginning. But I think beauty, wellness, healthcare is a category that has just exploded in India in the last 18 to 24 months. Part of it has been a result of the pandemic. You see a lot of direct-to-consumer brands having come out because a lot of people are, for example, when they're buying masks, it's not just buying any and every mask. People are now thinking of it almost like a fashion statement. And you have a lot of brands which are being set up in the last 18 months just selling different types of masks online. Consumer electronics and appliances, you have companies like Boat, you have companies like Bolt Audio, which have created a whole niche in terms of audio products, which sell both on marketplaces as well as directly to consumers. Many of them are our clients. And, they've given you an option to, for example, buy a headphone for less than 1,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees, whereas earlier in India to buy a high quality headphone we might have had to spend 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. So it's truly incredible what these brands have been able to achieve in the last 2 to 3 years. So when I talk about direct to consumer commerce, what does it mean? It basically means in the traditional supply chains that we used to have, there was a manufacturer who used to manufacture goods. For example, let's just talk about a shampoo or a personal care products manufacturer. Then they had a full supply chain that basically used to cater offline or even online to their sellers, which was they used to have a wholesaler who used to stock their products, who in turn had distributors. So a wholesaler could be, for example, for North India, and then there could be a distributor for Punjab, a distributor for Delhi, a distributor for UP, and then they used to in turn supply to a number of retailers, mostly offline stores that you used to buy the product from as an end consumer. What direct-to-consumer commerce has done is it's basically just completely shifted the paradigm in terms of the supply chain, where you have the manufacturer who is selling directly to a consumer through their own website, social media, or advertising. It could even be something like, for example, telesales or phone sales. The number of avenues are absolutely infinite because in a lot of tier 3, tier 4 cities in India, it may not be online the way we think of it in terms of social media or website. It could actually be campaigns which are being run in newspapers, and then you have a phone number where you call to place products or teleshopping. And that's really exciting because brands can now talk directly to their consumers. So I grew up in an age where brands wanted to hire consulting firms to be able to hear the tone of voice of the consumer because they were so far away in terms of the actual in providing the actual customer experience. They used to create a bad brand and a product, but the customer experience was always provided by the supply chain in between. But today, you don't need that. You know what your customer is thinking because they're going on social media, they're going online and telling you exactly what they think. And this is just a slide with some of the top D2C brands in India. Like I said, beauty and personal care is a category which has really grown in the last 18 to 24 months. Cosmetics as well. You have companies like Mama Earth. You have Man Company, MyGlam, Sugar Cosmetics. In food and beverage, you have companies such as Licious. For who could have thought 3 to 4 years ago that there would be a company which would deliver freshly cut meat and chicken to your house, and you would not have to go to the local butcher. It's something that is truly incredible. You have companies such as Country Delight, which are delivering milk and milk products to your house, and the list goes on. And this is, I would say, while some of these brands have been around for 5 to 6 years, the real revolution here has only happened in the last 2 to 3 years. And during the pandemic, a lot of these brands have grown exponentially. And this is why it matters to be direct to consumer, why brands want to do this, and why I believe it's a large part of the future of online shopping. 40% of shoppers consider post-purchase, after they actually buy the product, that entire experience to be the most memorable part of the brand experience, right? And that's what leads to good customer retention. You're able to meet buyer expectations, which in turn leads to repeat purchases. And repeat purchases are like the holy grail for any online business, right? Because you spend a lot of money acquiring consumers. You want to basically, once you give them their first order, you want them to come back to you and buy again and again. And that's where direct-to-consumer commerce is really important. But the shipping ecosystem in India is broken. We don't really have a platform where people can actually create this entire shopping experience. So you can do this on an Amazon or a Flipkart, but doing it yourself is really, really hard. And that's where, like this slide, I'm going to just, in the interest of time, run through very quickly. What you find is that there are a lot of people who are helping you get demand, like people like Facebook, Instagram, but there's no one helping you actually retain your consumer, actually sell to your consumer again and again. And net, retailers today, direct-to-consumer brands have high shipping costs, they have slow shipping, they have a broken consumer experience, and failed deliveries. And what's changing today, and why direct-to-consumer is actually growing, is because a lot of platforms and a lot of companies have come in to help these brands be able to sell efficiently to their consumers. One of those brands is us. Again, this is not a plug, so I'm going to move through very quickly. And what's happened today is that you've seen brands like Mama Earth, which is one of our clients as well. It's a huge brand in skincare. They grew from selling only 6 products to selling over 100 products. They launched only digitally. Today, they're present in over 2,000 offline stores. And they've been able to do this in the first 4 years. It used to take decades to be able to build a brand. And Varun and his team at Mama Earth have been able to build that in 4 years. And that is what is truly exciting for us, both as consumers as well as entrepreneurs, is that there's a huge opportunity ahead of us to be able to actually scale. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Give me 1 second. Again, I hope the last 15 minutes was a bit informative for everyone about this new segment that we're seeing called direct-to-consumer brands. We at Shiprocket are very, very passionate about this sector, and we're looking to help each and every entrepreneur in India be able to create their own brand, create their own business. It doesn't matter, you don't have to be big, right? You have to be passionate about what you do, and there's a whole ecosystem of people here who are willing to help support you. So if there are any questions now or later on, I'd be happy to take them. And again, White Page and Sadaf and the team, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity today.